Alright, welcome back to Jay Creates. Today I'm going to try to create something. What it is, well, I'm going to continue on this journey here. I did, one of my last videos was a tea light holder, and I haven't really made tea light holders on the channel, and there's so many ways you can make these tea light holders, but today I want to try to use some of the, so I have scrap cherry from the side table, or the end table that I built last year in wood shop when I was taking the class at the local school, and I'll put some pictures of that, maybe a little bit of video on the screen as well so you can see the end product. But I have a bunch of leftover cherry I want to use for something, and then I have this nice grained piece of poplar here. So I'm thinking I make a cherry and poplar tea light holders, and I think that's what I want to do. So I'm thinking I make 2 single tea light holders. I'll laminate some cherry. Right, so we'll do 2 single holders, maybe 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches square. So this poplar board is 5.5 inches, and it's plenty long enough. But if I do 2.5 inches square, so I'll have the cherry on one side, and then on the bottom we'll have the poplar, and then for the second tea light we'll flip that over, so we'll have the cherry or the poplar on top and the cherry on the bottom. So it'll be a matching set, but they'll be opposite of each other, which I think would look pretty cool. So I know I got a whole table full of stuff here. So I got some poplar project boards from Home Depot a while back. They were like $1 a piece. They're 3/4 inch, 2.5 by 24. But I'm not going to use those today. And I got some Peruvian walnut here. That's going to be something else. I might start that today too while I'm waiting for the glue up. Or I might also go change the oil in my car, which is on my list of things to do. I got this piece of cherry right here. This might be almost the perfect size. Yeah, it's just about 2.5 inches. Let's see what that looks like. Actually, yeah. That's about the right size. I mean, it's 2.5, give or take a millimeter. This is another video. I don't really have a plan here. I was just kind of thinking last night on something to make, and it's going to be something to make, another tea light holder to make. Yeah, it's like 2 7/16, so it's just under 2.5 inches. So what I'll do is I'll take, I don't know, I almost hate to use this good looking grain because you're not going to get to see much of the grain if we're only doing a 2.5 inches. So maybe I'll use one of the poplar project boards. I mean, they got pretty good looking grain too. And these are 2.5 inches. So we'll just have to mill it down to just under 2.5 inches. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll use the poplar and the cherry, right? We'll put 1 tea light holder here. We'll cut these into 2.5 inch squares. So one will be this way, and then the other one will be this way, and still be a matching set. It's just opposite of each other, so not totally matching, right? So we'll just make this match this size at 2 7/16 over at the table saw. All right, so I got the table saw set to match this end of the cherry. Now it's not 2 7/8 all the way, or 7/16 all the way down. It's it's fluctuated. This is a scrap piece, so I'm just going to run this through at 2 7/16, which is at the top here. But I got it set And we're just going to run this through, and then we're going to run this one through, and then they'll both be the same size. Alright, so that puts our boards at both the same size. And both with some saw burn marks. I've never really worked with Poplar. Actually, I haven't worked with Poplar really at all yet. Alright, so that's marked out at 2.5 by 2 7/16. So I can just call it 2.5 by 2.5, pretty much. So I got my 2.5 inches here. So what we're going to do is just, we're going to center the tea lights, like I said, in the middle. And we'll drill out 3/4 of an inch down to put the tea lights in. But to make it easier on myself, for drilling the holes and using the miter saw, I'm gonna, so 2.5 by 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5. So I'm gonna cut this at like 6.5 inches, maybe 6 inches, just to have a little bit of a clamping space later on, just to make it easier. I'm gonna go 7. I'm gonna mark it at 7, cut it on the miter saw, and then we'll get them ready for glue up. Okay. So I set up a stop block. I got it where I want it to be. And I should probably just cut both at the same time. Make it easier, right? Cut them both. That way they're exactly the same. Let's do it. So there's the 2 pieces. Now we're going to put some glue on them. So we got these 2 boards now. I'm going to just hit them real quick with sandpaper. Knock off the fuzzies. Okay, so continuing on, we have our wood glue here. I got some clamps ready. We're just going to go ahead and glue these 2 pieces together. Now you want to make sure you get your whole surface covered with glue, because this is going to be the only thing holding it together. So we got the 2 with the glue on it. Now we're just going to slap them together. Make sure they're flush. And then we'll put some clamps on them. Hey, I got an idea. If you have any suggestions on how to clean up glue, put them in the comments below. Because I've read where you should just leave it alone, let it dry a little bit, then scrape it off. I've also been told that you should wipe it off right away, and also maybe use a wet rag to wipe it off. I don't really know where it works better. And I have had trouble in the past with glue messing up or soaking in different spots where the stain or the clear coat doesn't exactly adhere as best as it could. So put a comment down below if you have any suggestions on that. And then we'll come back when the glue is dry. Well, it's been about an hour, give or take a little bit. I did change the oil in the car while I was waiting for the glue to dry. So here we are, we got our 2 pieces glued up. So this is about 1 inch longer than I want it to be. So right now we're at 7 inches, 7 1/8, and we're only looking to do 2 at 2.5 inches each. So I gave myself a little extra room so that I could cut it off at the miter saw and drill the hole. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a little sanding on the edges and the sides to knock off any of that excess glue that I didn't get wiped up. Again, make sure you comment down below your best way to deal with glue squeeze out. And I may or may not have glued another piece up for later on. So, alright, so this is all sanded down nice and neat. Everything is smooth. But I did a 180. I'll probably finish it with a 220, but I used the 180 to knock off all the glue. The seams look amazing. So next thing we're going to do is mark this out. And 2.5, scrap the middle. Okay, because I did both sides, so I don't know where I'm going to end up drilling the holes. Right, we want a hole on the cherry and a hole on the poplar. I got the drill press set up, and it looks like I've been using it because I have been using it. Anyway, we're going to use it together on this block that we've been talking about. We left off, we had marked out 2.5 inches and 2.5 inches on the both sides of the block. So this is the side I'm going to drill the hole for the cherry top, and then I'm going to drill this side for the poplar. We need to mark the center, and that's where we're going to put the drill bit. Tape measure, pencil. So I'm going to drill this side. So I'm just going to kind of find the center here. There's multiple ways you can find the center of the board. For today's purposes, I'm just going to use the tape measure. I'm going to come in 1.25 inches all the way around, and then just get the lines to meet up, and that's where the center of the block is going to be. So when you hit that center of the block, this is just a scratch awl. You can use a scratch awl or a punch. You're just going to put a little indent in, and that's where the bit of your pencil is going to fall off. Anyway, that's where the bit for your Forstner bits are going to start at. So I put the little hole there so I can match it up to the points on the Forstner bit, and then I come down with it to drill it. 1 5/8 inches is what I'm using on this, and that'll give you a little extra room in case you do want to use a different style of light. So we already got the bit in here. I already have this set to go no more than 3/4 inch down. So we're going to go ahead and get this drilled out. So there's that. You just have the little bit of the white showing at the top. You got a little bit of room in there in case you want to put a bigger candle in it, or a real candle in it. So that side's done. I'm going to flip it over, drill this side. Alright, so we got the one side, the poplar up with the hole on the top. The other side, the cherry with the hole on the top. And we're going to cut these at 2.5 inches now. And then this middle piece is scrap, or, you know, we'll stick it aside and maybe use it somewhere else. So there's the poplar with the cherry on the bottom. And there's the cherry with the poplar on the bottom. Let's go back over to the table here. Now that we got these cut, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to sand them, get all the pencil marks off, get all the frizzies and fuzzies from the cuts. Yeah, I got a good amount of pencil lines on here. And I'm going to give them a slight round over with the sandpaper. I'm not going to get the router out or anything like that. I'm just going to take the sharpness off the edges a little bit, but I'm not going to bore you with the sanding. So I'll come back when these are sanded up and we'll talk about the finished product. We got these done. We got them sanded up. And I'm not going to put any polyacrylic or urethane or anything like that on these. These are just simply going to be coated in this feed-in wax. So this is like a beeswax, orange oil, carnauba wax, some other beneficial ingredients it says. So it's a little cold, so it's a little thick. So I'll just rub that in, coating the whole thing. So what you do with this is just you lather it up, you let it sit on there for 20-30 minutes, then you come back and buff it out, and it should leave a nice, that cherry looks awesome. All right, so here's the cherry on this one compared to the wax one. We're going to do this one next, and we'll come back after we get it all buffed out, and we'll have a final look at the beautiful little tea light holders. All right, let's wrap this video up. I did end up opening the garage door. I got up to 55 today. Still feels like it's 40 something inside the garage. So here's the pair that we were working on with the feed-in wax on it. Real nice. I buffed it out. It'll dry out a little bit more as we let it sit, but it smells good too. It smells like oranges. And then here's a set I did earlier. This was essentially my practice set, right? Same thing. This I used some walrus oil. So this pair is just walrus furniture finish. So that's a blend of carnauba wax, let's see, tung oil, sunflower oil, hemp oil. Wipe it on, let it sit for 24 to 48 hours and wipe it off. This one here is the feed-in wax, beeswax, carnauba oil, orange oil. Lather it up, let it sit on for about 20-30 minutes, buff it out. And then this pair here, I just use shellac on it. Just a spray shellac. Okay, spray it on, let it dry, buff it out with a really fine grit paper. Not buff it out, but a light sanding, and then another coat. And then what I'll do is I'll probably let it sit like that. It looks pretty good. Doesn't look like I had any clumps or anything. Shellac is pretty easy to use. This one's not quite dry yet. So yeah, that's it. It was a half scrap wood project because the cherry is leftover scrap from my end table build I did like last year or whatever. And then the poplar, I just got a 2-foot long project board from Home Depot. I bought some of there on sale for like $1 a piece. So those have been sitting around for a while. So it is a spare wood, scrap wood project. Again, we have the tung oil, feed-in wax, and the shellac. And I'll put up some better pictures here after we get them out of the shop and get them home. So make sure you like this video, subscribe, leave a comment below. Let me know what your go-to finish would be for something like this. And I'll see you on the next one.